This is the Analysing Anfield podcast on the Blood Red channel, bringing you the best tactical and statistical analysis of Liverpool FC.
Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield, your tactics and analytics podcast, courtesy of the Blood Red channel. I'm joined as always by David Hughes. How are you getting on, mate?
I'm very good, thank you, Josh. Very good.
Same as ever.
Same as ever, mate, yeah. I'm not high maintenance, so always just doing all right.
Same as every other week then, so how's the week?
Yeah. I was wondering whether you're going to ask, actually, but yeah, I got to keep up with it.
This is crucial, integral information.
I reckon most people turn off after this bit, to be honest. It's it's all right, mate. I'm getting used to it now. It's fallen down a little bit, so it's I think it's all right.
Come for the mob.
It's certainly better than what it was. That doesn't mean in a few weeks' time, and when we see everything starting to open, I won't be going there. First customer, getting it sorted out a little bit. But I'll tell you what, I think I might be keeping the length, though. I've worked hard to get it here. I've gone through some terrible looks over the last 2 months, so I might keep the length a little bit, just tidy it up on top.
Yeah, well, you put in more effort than me. I give up halfway, didn't I?
Yeah, you went for the skin. Although it is growing back, isn't it now?
Yeah, it's getting there, but it's still just not long enough to do anything with.
Do you feel like it's really grown out all in one go as well, rather than being faded on the sides and growing a little bit slower? It's just kind of
it's going to be one of them, like a bit of a Trent Alexander-Arnold fade with that a little afro sort of thing. What I can actually do anything with it.
Yeah.
Football-wise, anyway.
Yeah.
Considering this is a football podcast, we're going to look at. Obviously, there's no football yet, but I think we do have a bit of a date, don't we? I think it's in 2 weeks' time, maybe a little bit longer. But we're going to look at each of the top 6 teams, excluding Liverpool, and we're going to pick one player from each club that we think that we would want at Liverpool right now if we were Michael Edwards, and you could get one pick from each club. I don't know Dave's picks, he doesn't know mine. But also going to throw Everton in there at the end and players outside the top 6. Just yeah. But rather than this just being like, picking the best player at every single one of these clubs, this is a specific Liverpool angle, looking at the current Liverpool squad. For example, it wouldn't make a great deal of sense taking Ederson when you have Alisson in the goal. It's a bit of a stupid. So hopefully this is done with a bit of a squad building perspective on things. Dave, do you want to start?
Okay.
Top 10 piece. You can just pick a club.
Okay.
I'll pick a club, and we'll just go in complete random order, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I'll start with Tottenham.
Before you start, go on.
Yeah.
You're going to say something?
I was going to say, how did you find Tottenham?
I struggled the most, I think, with Tottenham.
Oh, okay.
Spurs and Chelsea were the 2 clubs that I almost found myself not wanting anyone. That sounds a bit high horse, doesn't it? But just simply because Liverpool's squad's really well built, I think at the minute, finally poised in terms of age, stuff like that. Looking at the Spurs specifically, I just weren't sure. I'll delve into reasons why, but I'll let you go.
Yeah. Okay. So I've picked a player who, hasn't had as maybe a greater time as people had hoped, but I think from a Liverpool point of view, you could see some sort of appeal there for the future. I've gone with Ryan Sessegnon. Obviously because he's a 20-year-old. He's officially, I guess you'd say, a left back, but he can play anywhere across the left side. So he's quite versatile in that sense, and obviously what that Liverpool could really do with some cover in that position. He's got lightning pace, good work rate, bit of skill as well. The frustration is he hasn't really done it in the Premier League yet, but I did look into that a little bit more, and it seems that certainly that year Fulham were up, they just didn't kind of play how it maybe suits him. It seemed like when he was fantastic in that year in the Championship, he was part of a side that dominated most matches. so we saw a lot of touches, a lot of chances to influence the game. Whereas in that season that they come up, Fulham were obviously a below par side and defending a lot, and maybe just not that same kind of style of play where they got lots of touches on the ball. I think his touches actually halved from that season in the Championship compared to in the Premier League. When you had that with his age and the fact he's been tough for players, I think it was really hard to adapt. But obviously Tottenham have then signed him, and again, although he didn't play a lot this season, I'm not really sure why. I think injuries played a part, but I still think he's the type of player that could come to be moulded to potentially be a success in a few years' time.
Yeah, to be honest, I overlooked Sessegnon. I didn't actually. I did look at the squad fully, but key player that I probably should have put more consideration into, because I think that's a good shout, especially considering, we have Nico Williams to an extent coming through as a right back behind Trent, but as a left back we don't really have anyone. We've literally got Robertson, and if Robertson's not playing, it's probably going to be James Milner. So I think that's a decent shout, and I think he offers that threat in the final third as well. I think he's got a real tendency to find the goal despite playing in defence. So
he was good in the Championship. He got loads, didn't he? Like, I'm talking double figures, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think he's similar to Robertson as well, in the sense that rather than providing a bit of a crossing threat like Trent does, I think Sessegnon's more inclined to drive towards the byline and get a bit closer to goal and penetrate in behind. That sort of threat, I think, it's a bit of a different threat that both Liverpool's fullbacks have got, and I think Sessegnon would fit the Robertson mould. So I think the obvious choice was Son Heung-min. But once I had a bit of a deeper think about it, it just didn't work for me. I think he's a real Klopp type player, Liverpool type player. I think he's great, but mainly because he's currently 27. So if he was to come to Liverpool, you'd see Liverpool's front three probably remain as they are, because I think as good as Son is, I don't think he's as good as Mane or Salah. So Son would be kind of the fourth choice, and as our front three starts to regress with age, Son would also regress with them. So I don't really see, how he'd offer, how it makes sense really. It'd be different if maybe if he was about 24 and he was going to be able to do what, say for example, what Werner does when he comes, if he comes, whereby like he can come in every now and then, contribute, but his peak should be experienced as Mane drops off. I didn't think, so I opted against Son, and I ended up going for Dele Alli. It seems like he's been around forever, but he's still only 24, which I think is crazy. But I think crucially with Dele Alli, he's got the youth factor on the side, but he's also clearly got an ability to deliver, right now. So he'd be able to be in a title winning team, for example, while also being able to give you the next 5 years or so. But crucially, I think he's really versatile, and we're losing a player this summer, for example, in Adam Lallana, who, he can play in midfield, but he can also play in and around a number 10, potentially even as a false 9. So I think, although there's no real squad place for Dele Alli, because considering Firmino and Minamino get a little bit in his way, I just think he's that kind of like blank slate type player where he can almost play anywhere. And to be honest, his profile reminds me a little bit of Wijnaldum's before he came to Liverpool. He was kind of like a late arriver into the box at Newcastle, wasn't he? And PSV, I think, was his other club as well. Was it PSV?
Yeah, I'm sure it was. And let me just check. I don't want to be getting laughed out the. Go on, carry on anyway. I'll bring it up now while you're chatting.
Yeah, I just think it'd be interesting to see how Klopp would use a player like Dele Alli.
Yeah, it was. The other one was Feyenoord. I was thinking, I don't know if it was someone else, but yeah, Feyenoord, PSV, and then Newcastle.
Yeah, obviously he's English. He's homegrown. Really aggressive player. Like the way he's got a bit of a spike to him. 6'2", and his best season so far, Premier League only. 18 goals and 7 assists is his best season, and he's still only 24. That was 3 years ago. But he's coming through me a little bit as in a similar situation to Oxlade-Chamberlain, in terms of Ox was clearly had a lot of potential under Wenger, but he reached a point where he was kind of stagnating. Yeah, that's the word I'm after. Yeah, he weren't getting better. He weren't really getting worse, but his development just seemed to stop. Ox seemed to recognise that and come to Liverpool. Obviously, Dele Alli doing and like that is, I can't see anything like that happening. But Dele Alli doesn't seem to have progressed in the last year or so, as 18 goals and 7 assists 3 years ago would have suggested. So yeah, I just think he's the type of player who could certainly be of value if he came to Liverpool, despite Liverpool having a few number 10 types and a few midfielders and stuff like that. I still think he'd be a valuable addition.
Yeah, well, forget Liverpool for a minute. What do you think his kind of best role or position is?
I do like him as kind of a number 10 type, or a number 10 type who kind of becomes a second strike possession, but becomes closer to a number 8 without the ball. I think in fact he's really in that Mourinho mould, to be honest. He's in like the Gerrard mould when Gerrard was used as a 10 by Benitez. He seems to have a real tendency of recognising where the ball's going to drop and stuff like that. So I do still think he's got low potential. I still think he can reach the top of the game, but I'm just not sure how his immediate future is going to pan out at Spurs.
No, I agree. I agree with pretty much all that. It does seem like he's stagnated a little bit, but Tottenham's been a really difficult place to kind of excel at the moment, hasn't it? I know Son's had a great couple of years, but you think of all the other kind of big names in there, like Sakina and stuff. It hasn't quite been working out for them. I know injuries have played a part, but it's just been a tough environment, which led to Pochettino obviously losing the job. And even when they got to the Champions League that last season and faced Liverpool, it wasn't really a plain season. Like, it wasn't a fantastic campaign. That can't seem to very much cover up the cracks for only a short space. And I think when a club's in that position, it's really hard for players to excel. I think the problem is now, I'm not entirely sure that with Mourinho there, it's going to be any easier. Even being brutally honest with you, now I thought if Mourinho was going to be a success, he had to kind of hit the ground running, and it just felt already there was a lot of like mistakes and murmurs from Tottenham fans, and Mourinho doing his kind of complaining in the media, and I can't see that one being a long-term success.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it works out, because I think Mourinho's first full season is usually a decent one. Obviously, he has the pre-season like that. It'll be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah.
So next, I think I'll go with what for me was the easiest.
Okay.
The easiest choice. Manchester United.
Okay.
So I went with Marcus Rashford. I think he's really, really good. People that listen to this show will know that I'm a fan of his. Again, he ticks the standard recruitment boxes of being English and being homegrown. Still 22 years old. Just, for context of how young that is, go and have a look at how Sadio Mane was performing at 22. He's in the wide forward mould that, you're playing on the right side of Liverpool, on the left side of Liverpool's front three, for example. Very, very fast. Seems really professional as well, which is something I like about him. You look at his physical development since he first got his debut under, I think it was Louis van Gaal. He's under the radar, turned into quite a monster, I think. Full of muscles and stuff like that, and he's very lean. Great acceleration and stuff like that, and I think he's really aggressive as well without the ball. Quite a keen runner and stuff like that. Wants to run in behind. 10 goals last season, 14 this season, so he's kind of on that upward trajectory. And for me, he's got every chance to be as good as Mane, if not, I don't want to say it, but if not better. I don't think he will, because of the state of United and because of the leadership above him. Because I think Mane has obviously had Jurgen Klopp for the past 4 years, 5 years over, whereas if Rashford stays under Solskjaer or someone of that caliber, it's not on Klopp's level. So it'll be interesting to see how far Rashford goes. I think he's a really good player, and I think he'd be ideal for Klopp's Liverpool at the minute. Like.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, I went with Rashford myself. For a lot of the same reasons. He's just a fantastic
Did you
player.
also think it was the easiest? Or
I think there's one other player that I thought was just as easy. But certainly, from a United point of view anyway, and I actually do like United squad, so it wasn't as if like it was just a given, but I just think Rashford is the one player in that team that I think could virtually play anywhere someday, at least anyway. He could play for any club in Europe and be a success. I think he's that good. You've already touched on a lot of things. He's a really accurate shot taker. I think he's like 5th in the Premier League this season for shot accuracy, which is fairly impressive when you think that he takes around 3.2 shots per 90. He's fantastic from dead ball situations. I don't know if that was something you touched on then, but it's an underrated skill. He's always a threat when there's free kicks, and his penalty his goal scoring records have been boosted by penalties this year, but at the end of the day, you've still got to dust yourself off and convert them. I think there is something to kind of tilt your hat to that sometimes. But he just seems to have everything. He can play through the middle, obviously play out on the left. He's just a fantastic player, and I think United have been really lucky to not have to spend any money to purchase him. For him to come through the academy is it's gold basically. It's just really fortunate for them, and he's a player that they can build the kind of side around for many more years to come. And obviously he's a local player as well. I think that always sits well. He's a United fan, and he's just a top player. And as you said as well, importantly, and we've seen a lot of that, especially recently with a lot of the pandemic and other things going on. He seems to be a really professional lad. Despite his age, you never really see him getting in any sort of bother. Any sort of like making headlines for all the wrong reasons. He's just a player I really like.
Yeah. Did out of interest, did Pogba cross your mind at all, or?
No, what he didn't.
He should really. I mean,
Yeah, he didn't. I was going to say he's a fantastic player. Obviously, I think some people are quick to try and rubbish him when they can. But no, he's a brilliant player. It's just he's had his fitness issues a little bit, and it just always seems to be drama with Pogba as well. And that isn't necessarily me picking at his character. I think he just hasn't got the best people around him. Obviously Raiola's agent, and he uses the press as almost like a puppet for him, and it always seems to be drama with Pogba, and I think it can overshadow him when he's not doing it on the pitch. For those moments that he might be a little bit quiet or he might be injured, you kind of just want to be the invisible man a little bit. He never is, and I just don't think Liverpool are the type of club that they want to get him embroidered in all that kind of behaviour and that kind of politics.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because I think a lot of people look at Liverpool's squad, and the general consensus would probably be they don't have any creativity in midfield. So I think if you asked a lot of people this question, rather than saying Rashford, I think that we say either Pogba or Bruno Fernandes. To be honest, I said a few weeks back, I can't remember what episode it was, but I said that if we hadn't signed Naby Keita, I actually think we've been really interested as that type of midfielder for us, the kind of like alternative option who, rather than playing safe, is likely to take all kinds of risks on the ball and be really daring in possession. Obviously we got Naby Keita instead. But yeah, I think Bruno was. If Rashford wasn't in there, Bruno probably would have been my shout. And but again, he's another player who I would have liked to have seen under Klopp, just to see what Klopp could do with him, whether Klopp could tap into the mental aspects of why he's maybe not particularly motivated to play for Man United anymore, or that sort of thing. Because when Pogba's committed, he does seem really, really influential. If you look at France in the World Cup, for example, I know everyone always goes back to that, don't they? But he's the type of player that can have a huge impact, and he's committed to the core. Klopp's always been really good at getting players to feel that. But yeah, I think I'm sticking with Rashford.
Yeah, same. Okay, we'll move on to. I'll tell you what, we'll do Arsenal, which I'm sure will prick the ears of our producer. I don't know, but this is a controversial by me, but I'm trying to make the case for them. I've gone for Martinelli. Have you? I'll tell you what, I'll fill in the blanks then I'll let you take over. But I just think he's a really, really exciting player. He's only, I'm pretty sure he's still only 18, but he's already kind of illustrated him as a really versatile forward. Plays, kind of different positions from on the flanks through the middle. I think, am I right in saying through the middle a little bit more since Arteta's come in? But yeah, he's very dangerous in the box. He actually played really well against Liverpool at Anfield in the cup game, which I'm sure people will remember. But he's a really good dribbler, fantastic kind of position, and he seems to be one of these players that can just gauge where the ball's going to end up and make sure he's there. He doesn't seem to need a ton of touches in the box as well. He seems to get shots off quite quick, so he kind of has those, I guess you'd say, like poacher instincts. But beyond all that, beyond his abilities on the ball and his attacking capabilities, I think he works really hard. He's kind of a player you could rely on to lead the press. Yeah, and I'm sure you'll touch on it now. He scored 6, this is 5. Doesn't take a ton of shots, but I thought it was interesting that he has just under 1 shot assist per game as well. So it shows or per 90. It shows he's fairly creative for the round, and he just to be a player that can do a little bit of everything, and to have those numbers at such a short, what's the term I'm looking for? At such a young age. Sorry, to have those numbers at such a young age, it's impressive, and it kind of shows that he's on a really good career trajectory.
Yeah, he was my choice as well. Reason being, I can see him being really, really good in a number of years. As you said, he's still only 18 years old. That is incredibly young. So if you see, and I think another thing with him as well, rather than necessarily the numbers with him, I think this is almost one of them where you can just kind of see that he's got an ability and a quality that is kind of above his age bracket. You would think he's old and name basically, and considering his age, just roughly imagine what he's going to be like when he's 25, for example, which is when a player's peak is supposed to start. And I think even despite that as well, even despite him not being anywhere near the finished product, I actually think if he was to back up Liverpool's front three at the minute, I actually think he'd probably offer more than Origi does, for example. I think he does. Yeah, I know Origi's famous for scoring big goals and providing big moments, but generally when Origi doesn't score, he contributes really, really little. Doesn't really do much at all. Whereas I think Martinelli, I think you touched on it there, a real grafter without the ball. I must admit though, it was a bit of a tough call. For me, he edged out Saka, Guendouzi, and maybe a little bit further down was Nicolas Pepe. I know he hasn't improved that much really since moving to Swans. I know he hasn't set the league on fire and like that, but I still think considering his age and he's left-footed as well, you don't usually get many left-footers that can provide that kind of threat from the right side. So I think he's a useful player to have. but he's been mismanaged around for this season. But Martinelli, yeah, he looks mentally strong as well. He looks mentally, dedicated and things. Again, in that wide forward mould, and he scored 10 goals this season in all competitions. Arsenal. That's including domestic cups and things like that. But yeah, I just think, considering that he's 7 years older, imagine Martinelli in 7 years.
Yeah, I know he's as he is. He just seems a really, really good player. Where did he come from? What's the story?
It was you know what, I can't remember. I know it was Brazil, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
just go on.
I'm just trying to find out exactly where he come from.
I know it was around. I think it was around 6 million that he came for, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bargain, isn't it? Utanano, is it? Utano. Corinthians, then Utano, if that's the correct pronunciation. Probably murdering it, but yeah, I mean, that's a bargain, that for players kind of that sort of those behaviours and that output already. It's impressive.
Yeah, really exciting players. It'd be interesting to see A, how far he gets, and B, I'm sure our producer won't like to hear this, but whether Arsenal can keep him, because if he continues to showcase this level of potential, and Arsenal don't really climb above their current level, you usually get points. Say, for example, Sterling, when he was at Liverpool and we were kind of going nowhere under Rodgers, Sterling just, knew he was above us at the end of the day. And if Arsenal reach a point whereby Aubameyang leaves and it's become almost a bit reliant on a 20-year-old kid, it wouldn't surprise me if he starts looking elsewhere.
Yeah, but just on Guendouzi, by the way, I just want to flag that I agree with that. Like, I was doing some analysis this week on mentioned like Obama replacements, and again, Guendouzi just showed really well. And every time I do any sort of piece like that, he always shows as a really good player. I suspect hopefully him and Arteta probably got over their initial kind of hiccup. I think he'll go on to be a top player over the next few years for Arsenal. He's just such a good player.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that you do read about him, that he's a little bit spiky on the personality side, but I don't know if you can harness that. It's not really that much of a bad trait, really.
No, I agree. Yeah.
So we want then to we'll do Manchester City.
Okay.
So I went a little bit outside the box, I suppose you could say, simply by opting against Kevin De Bruyne. So I went for Leroy Sane.
Oh, okay.
Reason I went for Sane, again, listeners of the podcast will know that I've tried to the message across that Salah is quite a rare profile of player in terms of he mixes speed with output with left foot, and you don't get many of them at all. Most left-footed attackers that are at the top of the game in Europe right now are either slow, or if they are fast, they don't really deliver much in the goals and assists. Salah does, and I think Sane is another, even though he's been used on the left side as an actual winger by Guardiola. I actually prefer him as an inside forward type. I think he could be easily a bit of an heir, albeit in a slightly different mould, but still only 24 years old. I think Salah's now 28. Obviously, Sane is the same nationality as Klopp, which can only help. You can play on both flanks, as I've just mentioned. And I think, crucially, the reason that I opted against De Bruyne, I think De Bruyne is the absolute perfect Klopp midfielder because of how direct he is, how physical, just such an aggressive game overall, the way he uses the ball and things like that. But he does turn 29 this month. Plus, I think if you was to bring De Bruyne into the current Liverpool team and maybe put him where Henderson plays on the right of the midfield three, I don't know, I'm inclined to think, don't know what you think about this, but perhaps he would hinder Trent?
Potentially, yeah. Because a lot of
the similar, I think.
Yeah, and I think maybe an issue is for De Bruyne in that he doesn't carry the same sort of defensive solidity that maybe Henderson brings. We know that Liverpool's defence, Liverpool's midfield is very much about being that kind of steel core for everything else around them to kind of possess the flair and create things in attack. The only issue I have, I'd still just be inclined to have him in the team. I think he's just so he's so good that he's the type of player that you'd make concessions for.
Yeah, if he was at Liverpool right now, absolutely no doubt in my mind that Klopp will find a place for him. Having said that as well, I don't even think he's that much of a defensive liability. I think he does actually work quite well. Yeah, I don't think he's the type by any means, but he's just maybe not as protective as Henderson is. But yeah, I mean, De Bruyne would be the obvious pick. De Bruyne would have been the pick, but considering he's 29 and we have Trent, I'm just not sure. I just see maybe a bit more value in Sane. Sane scored, he hasn't played this season, but last season in the Premier League, scored 10 goals and assisted 11. So obviously got that two-way thing about him where he can score, but he can also create for others, which Mane and Salah are both masters of. So I think he fits the Liverpool mold. Sadly, it looks like he's going to Bayern Munich. Don't know who you've picked.
Yeah, that'll be a shame to see him go there because he's a good player to have in the Premier League. But I mean, Premier League on Man City's loss, definitely Bayern Munich's gain, I should say. So I mean, I had to go with Kevin De Bruyne in my opinion because I just think. I mean, I was reading an interview today with Grealish, and he said, and I'll quote him on it, he said that he absolutely has everything and doesn't get enough credit for some of the stuff he produces. He's definitely the best player in the Premier League and up there with the likes of Ronaldo, Messi and Mbappe, in my opinion, which I think, coming from a player who played against him and a good player in Grealish, kind of speaks volumes. I think he's one of the only players you can really rival or sometimes even better Trent in terms of his goals and creation. One player I want to touch on, though, rather than going on about De Bruyne, and this is maybe not necessarily just from a Liverpool point of view, but I do wonder what a player like Jesus could do at Liverpool, because I was talking about him today. I was kind of just having a look at his numbers, and he, for me, is a really good player who's obviously having to play second fiddle at the moment at City and Aguero goes. And he seems to have a bit of everything. The only thing he's lacking is real elite finishing, which is obviously a big thing for a striker. But in terms of his kind of all-round play, he's a good player, and he off the ball is as hard worker as anybody out there. Certainly as a forward, he's up there with like a Firmino for me.
Yeah, he is. I think for some reason there's this weird narrative out there that he's not good enough to just slot right in as soon as Aguero leaves. For me, it's not much of a decision really. I think people look at it and they say, he's not as good as Aguero. City needs someone who's better than that. So they might have to go and recruit someone else. But for me, how old is he? How old is he? He's 23. For me, he is comfortably the Aguero replacement, and I think if Aguero comes out and Jesus comes in, you don't get exactly the same game, but I don't think it's something to worry about whereby you're looking to the transfer market for the solution.
No, I think it is the issue here. I can spell it out here, because I agree with that, and I think the only thing he needs to somehow work on is his finishing, because combined this season and the last, his XG is 0.39. 0.93 per 90 XG. Post-shot XG is 0.81 per 90, but goals are 0.65 per 90. So it just feels like there's a little bit of bad finishing and a little bit of bad luck in there. That's kind of the difference between those two. And if he can just get those numbers a little bit closer, I mean, I think then he's got everything. And, you know, as you say, he's only 23. That could happen in the next year or two where he just becomes a little bit more clinical.
Yeah, I think this as well. I'll try and, for those listening on YouTube, or watching on YouTube, I should say, I'll share this now just to capture what I think on it. It's to do with, you know, where Aguero finished compared to Jesus. So there, you see that?
Yeah, it's up.
That is Aguero's shots over the course, well, since 2014. If we look at goals only, as you can see, a decent amount outside the box. They obviously get you off your seat and all stuff like that. Compared to Jesus over the same period, well, not the same period, I think a year after that, but Jesus' goals only, he's yet to actually score outside the box in the Premier League. And I think that is another thing that can impact kind of the narrative, I suppose, around the player, whether he's good as man he's supposed to be replacing and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think Jesus is a decent shout, and if City don't sign a replacement forward, and he just let Jesus take reins, I don't think that there's over much.
Would you put him in the Liverpool side if Firmino's role, if Firmino left, retired, whatever?
I wouldn't.
Retired seems a bit extreme, but you know what? Just if he wasn't there, do you think you could drop him in there and he could do the same job or a job?
Not a job, yes, not the same job. Because Firmino's got a natural tendency to like retreat into midfield, basically, and kind of provide like a glue in the final third. That's how I kind of describe it. I think Jesus is a bit more on the poaching side, less inclined to create space for others and drop into midfield, but maybe more inclined than Firmino is to put the ball in the back of the net. So I think it would alter the dynamic of the pool a little bit. But with the ball, I wouldn't have any issues now in terms of like his defensive work rate and stuff like that.
Nice.
So, who's next? I think it's you, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've got one left of the top six, and yeah, again, not really surprised this one because I've spoke about them before on the show. But I've gone with from Chelsea. I've gone with Kovacic. Just because, you know, there was a temptation to go for Kante there, just because I think he's arguably one of the best midfielders in the world, and we've now discovered that he's probably the best number 6, but he can also kind of do a job at number 8 as well and still be a really good player. But I just think he's 29 now because it's just turned 26, so he's still got a lot of years at kind of the top level, and he's just a really good player. I kind of said he'd be a good replacement in the replacement show we did a few weeks ago for Ronaldo. I think you could put him in that position and he'd do a really good job there. He's not, when he's on the ball, he's really good on the ball, comfortable in tight areas, pretty press resistant. You know, we can dribble out of these tight spaces. He works the ball up the pitch. He seems to link the defence with the attack. He has a really, really good passing artillery. He's just a player. Seems to have everything. He's robust as well. You know, he's good in duels. He's strong on the ball. He's just a player that seems to have a lot for me. I know he doesn't do much in terms of goals or assists, but I'm not necessarily sure that's what we should be judging him on. And maybe that'll come a little bit more next season. But I think as a player and all-round midfielder, and maybe one suited to Liverpool, then I think he eats the boxes.
Yeah, I was really close to picking Kovacic. I did look at Kante, but for me, considering he's 29, and I must say, although Klopp would almost gently find a place for him if he had him at his disposal, I think in terms of signing him, going out your way to buy him, I don't think he has enough attacking traits for Klopp to be interested in signing him. Klopp always signs players that have some form of attacking qualities. I think Kante is really largely defensive. So and Kovacic, I did think about it, as I said, but I looked at Liverpool's midfield options and just thought that we maybe had enough. And I think Curtis Jones, they want to stay kept Curtis Jones, and I think Curtis Jones is inclined to play maybe on the left of a midfield three, which is where Wijnaldum plays, and where Kovacic would play. So I've just ended up leaning slightly towards Callum Hudson-Odoi. But to be honest, looking at the Chelsea squad, it was similar to Spurs in terms of there wasn't anyone really that I was desperate to move. James crossed my mind as well.
Yeah.
But we've got Trent, so.
Yeah, and because of Trent's age, it's just a position you don't really feel like you need to fill. And as you said, you've got Nico Williams, who's kind of on the cusp of being a reserve right back anyway, who looks half decent, so it just seems pointless, really.
Yeah, I think in Hudson-Odoi, he would just again meet that need that Liverpool have had for a while of signing a fourth choice attacker, but one who's not on a completely different level to Salah and Mane on the flanks. I think Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's not on their level yet, but he's got a lot of potential. 19 years old.
Josh, just quickly, just on the right, it is relevant to the subject. Who would you consider as backups to Salah as a right side attacker?
In terms of the transfer markets, who could we sign?
No, sorry, just in the squad now.
I think Shaqiri's that player. Even though he's not unlike him at all.
Yeah.
I think I'm right in saying he's left-footed. I'm sure about that one. But if he's not left-footed, his position is on the right. Maybe he's been traditionally used as a winger. I'll double check that now.
Just while you're doing that, I'll just share this quickly. Because the Liverpool Echo were doing like a squad depth thing, and he just asked us to pull one together on Liverpool, and it looks pretty bare on that right side. Let me just bring it up. Admittedly, Shaqiri's more as a midfielder. 2 seconds.
Shaqiri is left-footed, by the way.
Hold on a sec.
Well, yeah, he just doesn't provide the same dynamic that Salah does in terms of the threatening behind and the goal threat sort of thing.
Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you got Salah, and then there isn't really a lot there, is there? They've got Odo on there, but obviously we know that in the case Wilson, who's been at Bournemouth, and it's a bit bare, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's I suppose that ties in with sort of what I'm mentioning in terms of Salah being quite a rare profile. You'll generally find a lot of wide forwards who want to use the right foot, but the ones that use the left, there's honestly not, and the ones that you do find, they're not really performing at an elite standard yet, and they maybe don't show enough potential to reach that elite standard either. So when you come across them, they're almost not a unicorn, but they are quite rare.
Yeah, it certainly has a value to them, doesn't it? That's probably what you could say. It certainly adds a value there.
Yeah, it's definitely. Well, that's one of the perks why we might be able to, answer the value of Lee Wilson. I must say though, last week I had a little look at the YouTube comments last week, and one or two, I think it was the top comments or something, disagreed with us regarding somebody of them. Have you got any response?
I mean, I stood by it at the time, but I mean, I'll check out the comments, and maybe if it's something I agree with, I'll address on the next show. But
I think the comment was along the lines of he does have enough quality to perform for Liverpool.
That was the
crux of it.
So what was the much justification as to why?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I can't remember. But for me, watching him, he's clearly a decent player, dead ball specialist in my opinion. But I don't know. I just think you need more. You need more in your game if you're gonna have that role in a Liverpool team. You know, this is the team that's won the Premier League this year and the Champions League last year. You need more than Harry Wilson's got, sadly. For me, anyway.
If you go back 5, 6, 7 years of Liverpool squads, then he probably would. He probably would make it Liverpool. But it's both a beauty and a curse. This Liverpool side is so good that you just have the elite of the elite. Now, every Premier League player is an elite player, but you've got to have the real top end players now to be good enough to play at Liverpool. And I'm just not sure that. Put this way, you're talking about the likes of Mbappe's and Sancho genuinely being players that could come and improve Liverpool. With the greatest respect to Wilson, you don't put them in that bracket, do you? But they're both players younger, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it depends what you perceive to be what Liverpool could expect. You know, the standard that you have to meet to be Liverpool quality. For me, that's high bar. I'm not sure Wilson meets it, sadly. But just a little bit more on Hudson-Odoi. I've mentioned a few times, but again, English, homegrown. But he's a bit of a dribbler, a creator, I think, than a scorer just yet. I think he would need to work on his decision making in the final third. I think he's got a little bit about him that maybe Wilfred Zaha has in terms of doing stuff that doesn't really add much, just like nice things that I've said before, haven't I? That when Guardiola spoke to Sterling, he kind of say to him that, you know, no matter what you do, listen, the goal is there, sort of thing. Everything's got to be focused towards getting the ball on the back of that net, otherwise it's almost pointless. And I think Hudson-Odoi sometimes going to just doing things on the ball for the sake of doing things rather than doing things that are going to be effective and efficient.
Beneficial,
yeah. One thing I will say though, he's renowned developing a bit of a reputation for passing into the penalty box. I think he's really good at finding a penalty box with passes, which is, you know, tends to be a difficult thing to do. Whether that's good being paired up with Firmino is another story. Maybe he'd be better suited to be playing alongside a Jesus type. You know, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was my choice.
Nice.
So, to add a little bit, what time are we on? Yeah, I think we're on in and around the 45, 50-minute mark, I think. So, just to add a little bit, Everton, Dave, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this. What Everton player would you pick off if you was Liverpool? What a wonderful question that is for never telling you.
I did actually think about this, and I was like, why did I bring this up? Like, why would I want to sit here and try and sell the few talent that Everton be picked off by Liverpool? But I think it was just a good chance to maybe just put some players on the radar of people who maybe wouldn't normally take that much interest on players outside of Liverpool players. And the two stout candidates to think in this current Everton side, and I'll probably go with. I think I'll go with Richarlison, because
it has to be.
Yeah. I think for me, he's a player who only 22. He's a player who can go on and be a truly elite player. Like I'm talking playing at a massive, like, this might make people laugh now, but we'll see in 5 years' time. I could see him playing at like a Barcelona. I think he could be that good one day.
Well, 22, as you said, 22 is young, really young for the top attack of that. And considering already his record in the league, you know, his goal scoring and his assist making, just his general impact, he's doing more than the 22-year-old tends to do.
Yeah, I agree totally. And he produces brilliant moments. He's like playing games for you. You know, if things aren't going that well, he'll produce some kind of match-winning moments. He's dangerous with the ball. He's a good goal scorer. You know, we've a theme of this conversation has been talking about players with a really good work rate. Second to none is extreme, but there's few in the league who work as hard as him off the ball. And you know, traditionally you think of Brazilian players as, take Firmino out because we know what he's like, but you think of these players who may be a little bit more about, flair and attacking intent and maybe not doing other things without the ball, but he works really hard when he could probably get a buy if he really wanted to in the side where he offers that much in attack. He might give him a pass a little bit, but he doesn't. He still pulls his weight. I think, okay, if one downside is he's prone to go down quite easily, which is frustrating, but in terms of a character,
I hate that myself. Like.
Yeah, it's annoying. Nobody wants to see it. But in terms of a character off the pitch and his kind of behaviours, he seems like a nice person as well. And I think he's just an all-around good player. Probably the other player I would have put in the mix if it wasn't Richarlison was Luca Digne. I think he's a top left back as well. He's probably one of the best outside the top 6.
Yeah. I think one thing I like about Richarlison is he doesn't seem to have many weaknesses at all. He seems to be quite complete for a forward. Really, really good in the air as well for a wide forward. Wide forwards don't tend to be, aerial threats, but he's really dominant aerial. I think he's only 5'10", but
you don't see many, do you, scoring ahead at Anfield, which is obviously what he did this season.
Yeah, I don't think he's the tallest. I think he's about 5'10", but his lead or whatever it is, his tech, he's really, really good aerially.
5'10" he is, yeah.
Yeah, I think Lucas Dean, another good shout. I think he'd provide closer to a threat of Trent and Robertson in terms of the crossing stuff from deep rather than, the running up and down the flank all day.
Yeah, he's not someone that you give the ball and say, run on a side, but he's the type of player who you can kind of, you've already said it, put him in you put him in that Trent area to swing balls into the box, and when you've got aerial threats like Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin, then it can be a decent form of attack.
Yeah. So to round off, just players outside the top 6 and Everton, obviously. I've got 2 down that I like, and that's relatively suited to Liverpool's game. First of all, a player I've mentioned plenty of times, Buendia at Norwich. I'm not even going to elaborate on it because people listening to the show know why I've talked about him plenty of times. But if you're into your data, you will know that he's a real output player. Delivers beneath the surface and stuff like that. But another player like is Ismail Sarr at Watford. He seems to know Sadio Mane, I think, but he seems to have a real engine, lots of stamina and a really high physical capacity despite being a forward. Quite tall, caused Liverpool all kinds of problems when we played them. Obviously, we lost 3-0. I don't think he can speak the language yet either, and he's only 22, so just thinking to myself, once he gets more accustomed to the country, can speak the language, he could reach a really good level as well.
Yeah, I actually can't add on that. The one player I wanted to flag, you've already flagged there, Sarr. I think he's just going to be a really good player. And he's definitely one to watch. Who a lot of people maybe might overlook him, who only take casual interest in the game, and they might think about that City they had at Anfield and think he isn't up to much. But no, he's a really good player. Actually, he played well, didn't he? Oh, did he? No, did he play in the 3-0 defeat?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he scored.
Yeah.
I remember.
Go on.
I was going to say, I remember a through pass on Troy Deeney after a throw-in.
Yeah.
And the reason it came off is because the player running behind onto the through pass was Sarr. So I think he scored at least once.
Because I'm convinced Deeney meant that, by the way. I think they'd been working on that. I think we've talked this on the pod.
Yeah, we did.
What threw me off actually was I remember in the build-up when we were recording this show, we were under the impression for that game that Sarr wasn't to play.
We were. Yeah, actually twice.
Yeah. That's what threw me off there actually. Yeah, because he wasn't meant to play, but obviously he did, and he was brilliant. Well, there we go. Then that kind of reaffirms it. But I think he's a really good player, and he's on that. I think people should be keeping an eye on.
Yeah. We'll round up there then, I think. So I think maybe we will have one more week of I suppose, random topics before we get back to football. I've got one or two thoughts on what the episode could be, but if anyone wants us to fit one last thing in before back to the weekly routine, give us a shout. And thanks for sticking with us through the downtime, I suppose. Hopefully we've been able to provide some context on not only football but also hair. So yeah, anyway, thanks one for joining us, Dave.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, everyone.
And we will be back next week. Cheers.